before the Sturmgewehr 44, before the word assault rifle even existed, one German engineer quietly laid the groundwork for a revolution. His name was Heinrich Vollmer, and his weapon, the MKB-35, was decades ahead of its time. Born in 1885, Vollmer was an engineer's engineer. He believed weapons should be reliable, efficient, and built for soldiers, not factories. During World War I, he observed the limitations of bolt-action rifles and heavy machine guns. By the 1930s, he was dreaming of something new, something automatic, something personal. Not a full-length rifle, not a bulky submachine gun, but a compact weapon capable of sustained automatic fire with a controllable cartridge. This dream would take shape as the machine carabiner 35 MKB-35 for short. Today, it's nearly forgotten. But in this hour, we're going to rediscover it and trace how this little-known prototype helped invent the modern battlefield. The Treaty of Versailles cast a long shadow. With harsh restrictions on armament production, Germany's official military development was tightly controlled. But the Weimar Republic and later, the Nazi regime quietly began circumventing those rules. In underground labs and secret workshops, engineers were hard at work experimenting with next-generation small arms. Submachine guns like the MP-18 had shown the value of automatic fire in close quarters, but these weapons lacked power and range. The military wanted something better. By the early 1930s, two parallel efforts emerged. One focused on refining submachine guns, and the other explored an entirely new concept: an intermediate caliber select fire rifle. Vollmer would lead the latter. To appreciate the MKB-35, we have to define what makes a true assault rifle. First, it uses an intermediate cartridge, stronger than a pistol round, weaker than a full-size rifle cartridge. Second, it offers select fire capable of both semi-automatic and full-automatic fire. Third, it's compact and maneuverable, intended for individual soldiers. By this definition, the MKB-35 stands as one of the first real assault rifles ever built. Most armies in the 1930s still clung to bolt-action rifles like the Kar-98K or the most. Vollmer believed that technology and tactics had moved beyond that. His MKB-35 was an answer to a problem most people didn't even know they had yet. Vollmer's approach was radical but elegant. He began with a gas-operated rotating bolt design. The MKB-35 featured a wooden stock, a detachable box magazine, and an inline design to reduce muzzle rise. It had a fire selector allowing for semi-auto and full-auto modes. Think of it as a cross between a rifle and an MP-40, but with greater power and range. Only a handful of working prototypes were made. They were manufactured with high-quality components, showing Vollmer's obsession with durability and precision. Let's look inside the MKB-35. It used a long-stroke gas piston system, not unlike the one later seen in the AK-47. The rotating bolt locked into a recess in the receiver, ensuring a safe and solid lockup. The 7.75 millimeters cartridge was fed from a 20-round detachable box magazine. Rate of fire hovered around 600 to 700 rounds per minute, but still controllable thanks to the lower cartridge power. It also had simple iron sights calibrated out to 600 meters. Field stripping was easy, and Vollmer incorporated interchangeable parts, a rare feature for early prototypes. But its brilliance wasn't enough to win mass production. Why? The German military wasn't ready. Conservative generals clung to their beloved bolt-action rifles. They saw the MKB-35 as a novelty, too complex, too unorthodox. Ammunition logistics would be difficult, and producing a new cartridge line in secrecy was risky. Instead, the Wehrmacht focused on proven designs: the MP-38, the MG-34, the Kar-98K. Though the MKB-35 was tested by select units, it was ultimately shelved. The prototypes were archived, and the intermediate cartridge project went cold for now. Though rejected, Vollmer's ideas didn't die. By the late 1930s, other designers, including Hugo Schmeisser, picked up the concept. Some historians believe that the MKB-35 directly inspired these later rifles. Whether or not Schmeisser saw the internal design, the concept of an intermediate caliber select fire weapon had already been born, and Vollmer was its father. Vollmer remained active throughout the 1930s and early 40s. He collaborated on the MP-38 and MP, both of which bore the fingerprints of his design: style compact, simple, and robust. Though not politically aligned with the Nazis, Vollmer worked under their regime, contributing to several small arms projects, yet he never returned to the MKB design. His vision had been rejected, and now others were carrying the torch. World War II erupted. As the German army stormed across Europe, it became clear that the bolt-action rifle wasn't enough. Urban combat in Stalingrad and house-to-house fighting in Warsaw made one thing painfully clear: soldiers needed firepower. In 1943, the German army finally adopted an intermediate caliber select fire rifle das Sturmgewehr. 44 it became the first widely produced assault rifle in history. But Vollmer's name wasn't on it. His MKB-35 had come too soon. For decades, the MKB-35 was lost to history. Only a few examples survived, tucked away in collections and military archives. It wasn't until the 1990s that firearm historians began uncovering Vollmer's role in the development of the assault rifle. The MKB-35 never went to war. It never made headlines. But its fingerprints are all over history. In an age dominated by conservative thinking and doctrinal inertia, Heinrich Vollmer dared to think differently. He created something bold, something practical, something entirely new. Today, the MKB-35 reminds us that innovation often begins in silence, in the hands of tinkerers, dreamers, and engineers ahead of their time. One rifle, one cartridge, one man, and the first real step toward the modern battlefield. Today, the MKB-35 is a museum piece, but for collectors and scholars, it represents something more: a missing link between bolt-action warfare and modern firepower, a forgotten spark that lit the fuse of a revolution.